What a special day.
What we do is not like, painting a fence, where at the end of the day you can look back and go, yeah, I got that much done. You don't know. But then when you can get far enough down the line and see that it made a difference, that's pretty cool.
Basically, ever since I was a young, barefooted mountaineer from the Great Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, I have always enjoyed athletics.
But my philosophy was, no matter what, let's have fun.
We're all in here doing the same thing, and that's what makes it so worthwhile. We're working together.
Whether you live in Yakima or Seattle or Walla Walla or Spokane or wherever it is, high school sports is an important part of everyone's life.
Well, I think it's something that everybody relates to.
I think the biggest thing involved in activities for the kids in high school is the leadership that they gain from participating in sports.
I think you learn some things, more or less the good and the bad, and they both help you.
When you are part of a musical group or an activity or a sports team, you have a place to belong. High school can be kind of scary, and especially, kids coming from middle school, and they need to have some place where they feel valued, where they feel like they're part of it, like somebody's going to notice that they're there.
I think there's a real important element that we don't discuss very often. We spend a lot of time talking about the opportunity to participate and be involved in teamwork and socialization skills and all of that. I think a real important element of this is that it helps formulate for kids who they are and who they become. It gives them that sense of identity. And it's pretty difficult, I think, to develop some positive self-esteem until we know who we are.
Like when you're performing music, like these great works of music, you get to explore how people have expressed those thoughts. Those really deep, deep thoughts and emotions that people have had and how they've expressed them over the centuries. And kind of get a handle yourself on how to express them.
The real parallel is getting a kid to believe in himself or herself. That's the thing. I would sit a kid down and say, it doesn't make any difference if I believe in you, if you don't believe. I always felt badly when a kid walked off the court and I'd say, well, how'd you do? And they'd say, well, I lost. I said, well, that's not what I asked. How did you do?
The coaches you respect are those ones that really were hard on you as an athlete at a young age, and maybe at that time you didn't respect them as much as you do looking back now.
We are a family, and I think it's real important when a wrestler gets hurt or is sick, we all pull in together.
The fondest memory, I think, for me as a parent and for Mark was the fact that we had a relationship with individuals as individuals. And those friendships that developed then are right now still the strongest relationships that exist in both of our lives.
I'm a huge believer in high school sports for the experiences that it can bring, for the opportunities that it brings, and for the maturity that it provides, as well as the fun and the memories that we were sitting here talking about 20, 30 years ago, remember whens, and sports is so great for that.
We would work all summer on the farm and bucking hay and doing that, and then go to practices, and those kind of memories you have of those friendships that have carried on forever. I think it's a great thing to look back at.
I've often been asked, well, Jake, how many technicals did you have? Well, I don't know. I probably should have had more, but that was their problem, not mine.
I walked into the office and the tennis coach said, I quit, I don't want to coach anymore. And someone said, do you want to coach tennis? I said, sure, I'll try it. Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
When I started wrestling in 1961. I started officiating in 1969. And when I was wrestling, there was no timeouts. If you developed a bloody nose, that was the way it went. You just kept wrestling.
There wasn't a day in the classroom that I didn't laugh. And And there wasn't a day on the tennis courts or at speech debate tournaments or wherever that I didn't laugh. I do a whole lot of laughing.
The reason that started it all was to give opportunities to kids. And I got into this at the beginning of the whole women's movement and equal opportunity, and that's pretty motivating to watch us go from next to nothing into a shift to where we are now and see all that transpire. It's history.
Then the addition of the girls wrestling this year at Mat Classic was just phenomenal. I got to see the 103-pound match, and Kentwood was on this mat, first girls state champ, and I also had a boys state champ at 103. And they were workout partners. And I think it was very, very wonderful for both of them to be teammates and share that moment.
And so when I took it over, in the first year, we went to the state tournament for the first time in the history of the school and got 6th place. And so the community was just nuts. And then the next year, then we went and played in the championship game, and St. John beat us in the championship game. And that was, unbelievable.
At that time, we were good enough, we knew we could win. Everybody picked their event for the state meet, what they wanted to swim. And we sat down, and each of the kids came in, and 4 of the 4 best swimmers said they wanted to swim the 200 free. And none of them wanted to swim the 50, the event we lost. And every one of them told me, this is the thing that makes you feel good about coaching anytime. Every one of them looked me in the eye and said, but Coach, I can win. Well, as it turned out, they went 1, 2, 3, 4. They went the 4 best. They beat a kid who was a national swimmer, but they didn't all finish first. They were all winners. They all had great times, but they didn't all finish first.
I had this experience when my high school choir, when we were at Gig Harbor, we were singing at Salisbury Cathedral in England, which is an incredible place anyway, the cathedral. And we get to this really intense part, really emotional part of the music. And just at that moment, the clouds cleared up enough that this shaft of light comes in and hits just the choir in there, and you're just like, okay, I can die now. I'd be happy, that's fine.
I had a girl who wanted to get in speech debate, and I said, sure. She was in special ed. And it took her an entire year to memorize an 8-minute speech. By the end of the first quarter, every kid in class knew her speech verbatim because she'd get up and say it and she'd forget and someone would give her her line. Do you know that girl at the end of the year gave a speech at commencement? Now that's a triumph because we worked with her, and if it weren't for the other kids, she may not have wanted to go on.
Another one was a young lady who turned out for football and wanted to be a kicker in a game, and the score was tied 6-6. Her team had just scored and brought the score up to tie it up, and coach put her in to kick the point after. She made it. They won the game.
Well, I know just in talking with Mark that high school was a time when he really had fun. There was the last game of his high school career, we had won the state championship, and we had clinched it pretty early, and he was on the bench, and it's an emotional time, but he was in tears before anybody else was. And talking to him later, he was in tears because he knew it wasn't going to be fun like this again, that the feeling for his teammates, it was going to be kind of like that, but nothing where you had played so long with those kids, had so much fun and relationships with them. It was just going to be different from then on.
When people ask me, are there any special wins? There are none. There are a lot of kids I remember. I remember the kids.
We used to have a saying or something on the wall one time. It was, to be satisfied is to be finished.
Soak up as much as you can. Do as much as you can. Participate in as much as you can. Try different things.
Winning's not important. Trying to win is, I think. Trying is. But winning really overall isn't, because if you lose and winning is that important, what's left?
Wrestling's been so very, very good to me, and I have wonderful friends.
It's been fun for me. It hasn't always been easy, but all in all, I've loved it very much, and I'm thankful.
I would like to say thank you. This is one of the highlights of my life.
Congratulations to each and every one of you. And now we need one last word from the Congratulations to each and every one of you.